Welcome to a very special edition of Jets 360 Live. Ethan Greenberg and Eric Coleman here at the Atlantic Health Jets Training Center. Momentarily, the 19th head coach in Jets franchise history, Adam Gase, will be introduced by Jets CEO and Chairman Christopher Johnson, General Manager Mike Maccagnan. But first, EC, I just want to get your initial impressions of Coach Gase.
I'm excited. My initial impression was this is an exciting time if you're a Jets fan. You got a 21-year-old quarterback who ended the season on a high note. You got a young head coach who's offensive-minded, who's worked with several great quarterbacks. It's exciting times right now if you're a Jets fan.
Adam Gase, 40 years old. Sam Darnold, 21 years old. Jets fans have to be excited about this. Let's talk about what Adam Gase can bring to Sam Darnold, because you mentioned that Sam Darnold really took a step forward, final 4 games of his rookie season. What can Adam Gase do to help Sam Darnold grow? Because that's going to be the key to this franchise moving forward.
Well, I think first he has a lot of experience in game management. How do you see the field? How are defenses going to attack you as a quarterback? Learning from Peyton Manning. Yes, he did coach Peyton Manning, but I'm sure he learned a few things from the great quarterback in Peyton Manning, and he's going to pass those along to Sam Darnold, help him be more of a leader, make quicker decisions, be more decisive, and make some big plays.
As a player, you have a unique perspective because you've been in the Jets locker room shoes. So what I mean by that is you've been on a team that's had a new head coach. I want to know, as a player, what's the first thing that you're looking for from a new head coach? Because Adam Gase, is going to have to develop these new relationships, not only on offense, but the entire 53-man roster.
Well, that's a great question. When you're a new player, when you're a player getting a new coach, you want to figure out his attitude, his demeanor. What is going to be the attitude of this team? What kind of players is he looking for? What is the culture going to be? Then you go into his philosophy, his way of going about business, and you adapt.
Let's talk about Adam Gase's history. Head coach of the Miami Dolphins from 2016 to 2018. He had a 23-25 record in those 3 years, but it's a little more than just your record in Miami. So I want you to talk about that is what goes into head coaching other than just the record.
Well, yeah.
How can you evaluate?
Well, you obviously throw out part of that record because his starting quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, missed, I believe, 24 of those
games, correct.
And anytime you go into a season expecting your starting quarterback, you lose him in training camp, it's going to make things rough for any organization. But I think that one thing is he knows the AFC East. He knows how to prepare to play against New England, how to win against these teams, and that's going to be important.
Ryan Tannehill had a 13-11 starting record for the Miami Dolphins. But now, let's go down to the press conference with Eric Allen, Jets CEO Christopher Johnson, General Manager Mike Maccagnan, and Adam Gase.
Good afternoon. I'm Eric Allen, the Senior Director of Jets 360 Productions. Today, the Jets franchise ushers in a new chapter. On behalf of Chairman and CEO Christopher Johnson, General Manager Mike Maccagnan, and Team President Neil Glatt, I would like to welcome Coach Adam Gase and his family, Jets legends, staff, fans, and current players in attendance. Coach Gase brings 22 years of NFL coaching experience to New York, including the past 3 as head coach inside the AFC East. One of the defining elements of the New York Jets is their fans, a base unlike any other. Coach Gase will soon get to know that Jets fans are passionate, committed, and they only want to win. I think these great fans will soon learn that Coach Gase is all about these same things. You will hear from Christopher and Coach Gase before we turn it over to questions for all 3 of the gentlemen that are seated to my left. That will be followed by photo opportunities and breakout sessions up here on stage. With that, please welcome Jets Chairman and CEO Christopher Johnson.
Thanks, Eric. I'd like to begin by thanking everyone in our organization that helped us throughout this process. I also want to recognize the highly qualified candidates who interviewed with us. Each did a great job, and we are thankful for the time they took to meet with us. At the end of our interview process, Adam really stood out as the best fit for the New York Jets. His thorough understanding of our roster, his familiarity with our division, and his roadmap to success all impressed me. My expectations for this team under Adam are very high. In short, I chose him to win for our players, to win for this organization, and most importantly, to win for our fans. Adam understands that, and he's up to the challenge. I'm eager for all of you to get a chance to see what we see in him. We are excited to welcome Adam, Jennifer, and their children, Mackenzie, AJ, and Wyatt, to our Jets family. It is a great honor for me to introduce head coach of the New York Jets, Adam Gase.
I just want to start off thanking Christopher Johnson, Mike McCagnon, the rest of the Jets organization. I know it was a long process for you guys, a lot of candidates. I know it was a lot of tireless nights. I know we had a couple late-night FaceTime sessions there at the end, which is always fun when you kind of think it might be the call, and it's not. So that was a good start. It was a long 9 days, long 10 days. I know my family was eager for me to get out of the house for sure. You know, I'd like to thank my wife Jennifer, my 3 kids. I know that it's been a tough road for them the last couple days, just trying to figure out where we were going to be. And I appreciate them sticking with me. I'm excited to get going. I know it's a ways away before we get players in here, but you can feel the energy in the building. Today's been a great day. And really, at the end of the day, we're here for one reason. Our process started a couple days ago, and we'll see what it brings to us.
Thank you, Coach. At this time, I'd like to open it up for questions from the media. We have microphones that will be passed out. Once called, please state your name and your outlet. After the Q&A, we will have photo opportunities and breakout availabilities as well. Chris?
Brian Costello from the New York Post and WFAN. Adam, just curious, what lessons do you feel like you learned from your time in Miami that you will apply now in your second crack at being a head coach?
Well, over 3 years, you're going to have mistakes that you make, and really, it could be either a mental note or really you start creating that list of from year to year. And it's really started in this first part of the process. We have trying to put a coaching staff together. You know, it's the first thing I learned first go around is don't get impatient. Don't think you have to rush to get into that. We got to get this guy hired. We got to get this hired. Just go through your process. Make sure if we got to interview guys, we interview guys. I think that's just the start of many of the things that I've learned in that first go around. It's a long list because football, there's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts. And every time we encounter something, we're going to learn from it, and then we're going to move on, and we're going to correct it.
Right here in the middle.
So for Christopher Joe Rivera, Sporting News, what specifically about Adams, you mentioned the roadmap to success, what specifically aligned with what you guys want to do and what you guys envision?
Well, you know, honestly, we clearly talked with a lot of potential coaches for us, and they were excellent. Really, truly, I don't think there's one among them who won't be make a great head coach. But it was that the fact that Adam's vision synced well with what Mike and I had talked about quite extensively before we even started the process. You know, he is intelligent, forward-thinking, aggressive. He's to paraphrase Wayne Gretzky, he's coaching to where football is going, and that really appealed to me.
Mark?
Adam, I'm Mark Cannizzaro from the New York Post. Congratulations. Obviously, a large reason you were brought here was the quarterback here, Sam. I'm just kind of wondering if you can tell us what you've seen in him in this short period of time that you've had to scout him and whatnot, and what your conversations with him have been like.
The majority of the things that I've already looked at have been his pro tape. Obviously, us preparing for him for 2 games was kind of really a jump start for me. He was one of the guys that we actually thought was going to be gone way before we ever picked. We focused on a couple other guys that we thought possibly could fall to us at 11. And I've been able to, especially in the last few days, really hammer out as much tape as I could on him and start looking at the things that I've seen him do really well, some of the things that we could possibly work on. And really it's going to start with him. I mean, that's an obvious statement. And I'm excited because this is really the first time I've been able to get with a guy this young, this early in his career. You know, we're going into year 2. And I mean, he's hungry for knowledge. He wants to be coached, which when you have a type of player that does have the physical traits, this is an exciting thing for me to go through.
Manish.
Manish Mehta, New York Daily News. Christopher, along those lines, what gave you confidence to know or believe that Adam is the right person to develop Sam Darnold?
You know, he's worked with some great quarterbacks in different stages of their careers, both the tail end and the middle. Not so much at the beginning, but we talked about this a lot when we got together, and I ended up thinking that he was really the man for the job.
Daryl.
Daryl Slater, New York Star Ledger, NJ.com. Adam, when you look at this Jets team, one of the issues has been its inability to finish games. What are you going to do to fix that? And when you look at this team from afar, what was the issue there, and how do you plan on getting this team across the finish line in a lot of those close games that they were not able to finish? You know,
One of the things that I lean on, and I'm just going off my past experience over the last 3 years, that was something we took a lot of pride in, and being 20-6 over the last, in one-score games in 3 years, that was something that group took a lot of pride in, and it started in practice. It started in our preparation, and really developing the mindset of when we get to that fourth quarter, and we're in a tight game, we're going to come out on top, and really, it comes down to that. It's just that mental focus and putting the work and making sure that everybody's on the same page. You're all striving to get the same thing done, and whether you need that stop or you need that touchdown in a 2-minute drive, you're able to accomplish it, but it all starts with the preparation.
Rich.
For Adam, Rich Samini, ESPN.com. Adam, in Miami, you had control over the 53-man roster, which you won't have here. Why would you agree to the setup the way it is here? And secondly, how do you think it could impact your coaching?
Yeah, I was good. I don't even think I asked. That was not something I was really interested in. That's just kind of how it worked out in Miami. That was something that was really almost offered up of, we think this is the way we should go. And in Miami and here, I didn't even ask. I just knew coming in here, it was going to be a team effort to make sure that I do my part, which is coach the team, do everything I can to help bring in good players, and when my opinion was asked, give my opinion. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that kind of collaboration.
Connor?
Yeah, Adam, Connor Hughes with The Athletic New York. Now that you are this team's head coach, what is your top priority? Like, what's the first thing you want to accomplish?
Putting a coaching staff together. That's where we have to start. We can't skip steps and start evaluating the roster before we even have coaches here. And that's really going to be our number one priority, is getting coordinators and then working our way down after that. And once we get that accomplished, then we'll be able to do our evaluations, and then we move into free agency. So we got a long ways to go. The coaching staff's the number one priority, though, right now.
Go ahead.
Adam, Tina Cervasier from Fox 5 News. We've heard Chris say how you were the man for the job. They knew right away. But as you started interviewing, what made the Jets the right landing place for you for this head coaching job? Well,
the number one thing for me was a young quarterback. You know, and I also think the knowledge of playing these guys over the last 3 years, and that was interesting for me to stay in division when you know your opponents right out the gate, and you've been on one of the other teams that you're not going to end up playing. To me, that was very intriguing. And like I said, I've worked with older quarterbacks, guys in the middle of their career, and I've never really had the opportunity to work with somebody that's fresh out of the draft, basically, and does have a year experience. And I was excited to get that kind of opportunity, and really knowing the division that helps, and knowing this defense, just because we've had to prepare for that. I'm probably going to have to take more time learning the offense more than anything.
Bruce.
Adam, Bruce Beck, WNBC TV. Why do you feel you can succeed where others have failed here with the Jets?
Yeah, really at the end of the day, it's going to be about our staff's work ethic, the process that we're going to create, the collaboration we'll have with the front office. You know, that gives you the best opportunity to have success. And really on Sundays, it's all about wins and losses. And it's going to be the preparation leading up to that. That's going to be key for us.
Kim.
Christopher, hi. Kim Jones from NFL Network. Hi, right in front of you, up top.
Oh, there you are.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Christopher, you've said that you're not big on playoff mandates, but now with a new head coach in place, in light of the fact that 2 weeks ago you told us that your fans deserve better, will you emphasize the idea that the Jets need to get back to postseason soon?
Yeah, the fans do deserve better, no question about it. I do have high expectations, but there will be no playoff mandate. Absolutely not. I'll never do that. Good to see you, by the way.
Gaz.
Adam, you were just talking about how you know this division, and that kind of appealed to you. There's a team that's dominated this division for a long time in the Patriots, and you've been trying for the last 3 years to topple them. You know, how do you do it?
Well, it's going to start with putting a good coaching staff together. I mean, we have to go through our process, and right now it's not the time for us to focus exactly on, hey, how do we beat this one team? I mean, it's a 16-game schedule. We have to do a great job putting this thing together to where we give ourselves a chance to win the division. You win the division, that gives you an opportunity to get in that tournament, and then after that, it's just the team that wants it most. And, you know, obviously they've had unbelievable success. You know, there's good reason why. You know, going against those guys the last 3 years, it's a challenge, but it's a challenge that if you're in coaching, you want that. If you're a player, you want that. And I think, you know, for us, it's about getting our crew ready to go, and the coaching staff, players, and preparing the right way. So when our opportunity comes and we play them or anybody else, we give ourselves the best chance to win.
Okay, this is going to be the final question. Over here.
Adam, Andy Vasquez with The Record and NorthJersey.com. Why do you think that your offense wasn't as productive as obviously you wanted in Miami? And what do you think you can do to make it different here?
Yeah, trust me, I looked at that a lot myself. You know, when you look at rankings and start worrying about that, a big focus of ours was our turnover margin. We knew we had to play a certain way. You know, we lost some of our key pieces, and we knew we were going to have to find different ways to win. And really, we sacrificed statistics to try to get wins. And that's what we did, and we focused on making sure that we have great ball security and that we were getting turnovers on the other end. And we were able to do that and stay in games and then make plays at the end of the game. That put us in position with 3 games left. We were still alive in the playoff hunt. We just couldn't finish it out. And really, to me, that's why you look at the rankings. That's my best answer for that. I wish it was top 10, top 5. But I think we have a different set of players here and a different set that we'll grow to. And, you know, hopefully we can really be in that upper echelon of offenses.
At this time, we ask that still photographers move to the front of the auditorium.
You're watching Jets 360 Live. Team reporter Olivia Land is joined by Eric Coleman, and we just watched new Jets head coach Adam Gase press conference conclude with CEO Christopher Johnson and GM Mike Maccagnan. Eric, there are a lot of good things that happened in today's press conference, but some of the biggest takeaways. Number one, when asked what was one of the most appealing things on why the New York Jets were a good spot for head coach Adam Gase to land, he said, well, of course, I have a young quarterback, 1 year in the professional football league, and that was really appealing to him. Why is that so important for a head coach coming in to have a young quarterback that he can develop?
Well, it's a great thing because having a young quarterback, you have the opportunity to mold him into the player that you expect him to be. He's still green. He had a successful year last year, but there's a lot of things to learn from a veteran coach like Adam Gase. I think that he did mention that he has never been able to work with a quarterback as young as Sam. So I think that getting his hands on him early before he gets any bad habits, establishing, what is the protocol, how do you be successful as a quarterback, all those things are going to help Sam progress.
And when you think of, from a player's perspective, like a quarterback like Sam Darnold, why is that encouraging to hear from a head coach that he's excited to work with you and help develop you in the league?
Well, obviously the quarterback is the general of the team. He's the key component. You look at the playoff landscape right now, it's a lot of great quarterbacks around there, a lot of offense, a lot of production offensively. So I think when you have a coach that wants to contribute, who's excited to work with you, it's just promising for your future, your confidence. You're going to progress in the right direction and be the best player that you can be.
Something else that really stood out to me during this press conference was when he was asked what is his top priority heading into this 2019 season. He said, well, first and foremost, it's assembling a coaching staff. He said you can't take any steps without that first coaching staff. So is that good news to hear that is his first priority?
Yeah, that's great news. You want to make sure that you have the right coaching staff in place, the key components. You talk about the offensive, defensive coordinator. They have their special teams man with Brant Boyer re-signing him. But when you have your offensive coordinator, your defensive coordinator, you want to understand their direction. Everyone is getting under the same page. You look for the assistant coaches under that, and then you go out and figure out how are you going to work with these players, how are we going to get the best out of them.
Eric, what does it take to assemble the right staff? He's an offensive-minded coach, but he has to get the right defensive guy. He has to get, all of the right pieces to really make this work. What does it take to assemble the right team?
Well, I think part of it is knowing your strengths and weaknesses as a coach. Obviously Adam Gase is an offensive-minded coach, so you want to bring in a veteran defensive coordinator, someone who has experience running the defense and help you take off from there. Obviously, a lot of it's going to be based on relationships. You have to be able to work with these people. You're going to be spending more time with the coaching staff than you are with your family, so there has to be chemistry there. And I guess lastly is a philosophy. What is your take on the game of football? What are the techniques? And make sure that you're all on the same page so you can move forward together.
Something that doesn't happen a lot is seeing coaches stay inside a division. Obviously, Adam Gase was previously just with the Miami Dolphins, and now being with the Jets, it's the AFC East division. So why does that give him a bit of an advantage to be able to know the division that he's playing in?
Well, for one, you see it a lot with players, and it's because the coaching staffs play these players so many times. You see these teams twice a year, so you have an understanding of them. It works the same way with Adam Gase, and he's prepared for the Jets. He's prepared for all the teams within this division. Also, he coached the players that are on one of the other rivals that he just came from. So I think that's going to be a big advantage for Adam Gase and the Jets. It's going to give us a different outlook on how to attack these teams and hopefully get some more W's.
Now, finally, I just wanted to know, what were some of your final takeaways from this press conference? We heard from CEO Christopher Johnson, GM Mike Maccagnan, and, of course, Adam Gase. What was one of the biggest messages you took away from today?
I took away the importance of developing Sam Darnold. He's the quarterback. He's the face of the franchise. He's an important piece of this, and everyone seemed to be on the same page in that making him progress is going to be the big part.
All right, well, that's it for me today, but stay with us because I'm going to be heading off, but Eric Allen is going to be joining us, who just emceed. EA, you want to take over?
Thanks, Liv. E, what are your initial impressions here?
It's exciting. It's a lot of great energy around the room. Everyone's excited from the ownership, general management. You see some former players here, and just to hear Adam Gase speak, it was a great start.
Yeah, we're going to bring in Jets CEO and Chairman Christopher Johnson here live. Christopher, like we talked about it before, an exciting day here.
Oh, absolutely. This is
this is a loaded day. This is a big day when you bring in a new coach. It doesn't happen but once in a blue moon, and I think we've done a really good job, if I do say so myself. This is a great hire. He's going to be a great leader for this team.
Now, a lot of the press conference was focused around Sam Darnold. The coaching search seemed to be centered around developing the quarterback position. How important is it for Adam Gase to develop Sam and get the best out of him?
Hey, no question. Sam is a rare talent, and that is a huge part of this team moving forward. Is who was the best person to help develop Sam? But this is a young team. We've got a lot of talent already on this team right now. And we're going to be adding in some more, but there's a lot to developing that whole team. But yeah, Sam's how can you not make him one of the top priorities?
Did Adam Gase, and we talked about this before, check all the boxes? Here's a young guy, a lot of energy, an innovator. He's got NFL coaching experience. Offensive play caller who's had success with a number of different quarterbacks throughout his coaching career. And people misconstrue that the guy is just 40 years old because he's got 22 years of coaching experience.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
No. He's been at it for a while, since he was a teenager. Just a brilliant guy. And like I said before, he is coaching to where football is going, in my view. It's a different kind of football. It's not it's not the Steelers in the 70s. It's which was great, but it's a different brand of football right now. And I think Adam is going to be able to take us to a very good place.
Can you talk about how tedious the process was interviewing all these head coaches? Adam mentioned the late night FaceTime calls. Can you talk about some parts of the process?
Hey, there was nothing tedious about it from my perspective. I thought it was absolutely fascinating. First of all, we got to meet with a number of really extraordinary coaches. It was really an amazing experience. I loved every minute of it. All these guys would there was a moment in every interview where I said, "Damn, this guy is good. This guy's really good." And I still think that now. It was a great group. How could I not be thrilled by getting in the room with? I won't go through all the names, but oh my God, I loved it. I absolutely, it's one of the greatest parts of my job is this process, and we ended up on a great guy.
But you certainly did enjoy it. But there was a moment in time during that interview process where you said, "I know this is my guy." Didn't that happen for you?
Oh, absolutely. The light. I was hoping that this would happen. The light kind of came on with Adam, and I knew that the combination of his work with quarterbacks, the fact that he had been a head coach calling plays, doing so successfully in complicated situations sometimes, he knows how to make the most of not only quarterbacks but the rest of the team.
Did the call from future Hall of Fame quarterback Peyton Manning have anything to do with your decision?
Well, honestly,
it didn't hurt.
It did not hurt. But it was a long conversation, and it talked about how Adam really worked with Peyton when he was just off his injury. Really made the whole offense work to what he could do at every step along the way. It was a real process, and we had a great conversation. And it's great to get information from such a great source. But it wasn't really, it just let us know what we already knew.
Right.
It reinforced what we had already learned for ourselves about Adam. And that was a good thing to do.
Well, a wonderful day here at One Jets Drive. Jets Chairman and CEO Christopher Johnson, you have a lot of people to talk to, but thanks for stopping by the set here in the auditorium.
Hey, terrific.
Thanks for your time and congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Chris.
Guys, appreciate it.
All right, so you just heard from the boss, Jets CEO and Chairman, Christopher Johnson. We're going to hear from Jets GM Mike McCagnon, who is joining us right now. You see a media throng around the aforementioned Adam Gase. Mike, haven't had an opportunity to speak to you yet today, but What did you think about Adam before the head coaching process began?
Well, I think I've met Adam a few times, and obviously we coached. We played against him, so I knew him from that standpoint. But we have some mutual friends, so I had a bit of a feel for him. I've always, everybody I've ever talked to about Adam and all the research we did on him before we actually got a chance to interview him, people spoke very highly in terms of his passion, his intellect. From an offensive standpoint, it's very well documented. His work with quarterbacks that very much intrigued us, and from an offensive standpoint, he's very, very creative and innovative. But I think really before we had a chance to meet him, we knew a lot about him. And I always tell people, like, the interview process is a part of it, but in reality, it's all the research you do on him. It's almost like scouting a player like you would do in college or in the pro free agency.
Now, coaching in New York is no easy job. Obviously the media capital of the world, a lot of high expectations from the fans. Did that play any role in your coaching decision? Getting a coach who could handle the media, who could take on the press, who wouldn't be fazed by the scrutiny?
Well, I think that's a part of it. Like, I think it's, it's obviously a very difficult job to be a head coach in, whether it's college, pro, or high school. But in the NFL, it takes on a whole different level. But I think with us in particular, Adam having history, having been a head coach in the NFL, that's obviously from his own experience, like a learning curve with anybody who does the job for the first time, and Adam's had that already. But we felt very good about, him and his personality, and we're kind of excited to see how our, eventually our fans are going to get more of a feel for him, and the media and our players. So we're kind of excited to see how he does.
Yeah, was it almost instantaneously when you started hearing Coach Gase talk and you said, hey, listen, I share a similar vision for where this team has to go, because you two obviously have to be on the same page, and Christopher Johnson doesn't make this move unless he sees a connection between you two.
No, I think we definitely felt that. I think when going through this process, and we interviewed a number of excellent candidates, so I think it was we felt very good about the guys we identified and the guys we talked to. But in particular with Adam, I think as we went through this, there's a lot of things to be a successful head coach in this league. I think you mentioned about the New York market. But I think the other part of it is, like, really when you sort of combine sort of his passion, his history, his energy, his intellect, in terms of, his ability to develop and work with quarterbacks. There's a lot of really key things in that whole process. But the other part, when you go back and look what he did in Miami, there's other things, we're focused on too from the defense and special team standpoint. But he definitely feel good about him and his ability to lead our team into the future here, and we're very excited about that.
I know he's going to have a question here, but I just want to tell you that Adam Gase is coming up on the show as well. Right now, GM Mike McCagnon has been gracious with his time joining us here on a special installment of Jets 360 Live.
Now, Coach Gase talked about the priority is finding the coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
How much of a role will he have, and how much of a role will you have in finding the assistants, the coordinators, and their moving forward?
Yeah, that really falls in our structure. Is, as we said before, myself, Neil Glatt, and Adam all were on the same level. We all report to ownership. That's Adam's decision, who to hire for his coaching staff. I think we support and help him if, from a logistics standpoint, if he ever needs, obviously, our input, we're there for him. We'll help out with some of the contract negotiation aspects of it, but a lot of that's going to be on Adam, and he is a very, when we went through this process like we do with all the coaches, we talked about his staff and who he'd potentially want to hire, and we feel very good about some of the guys he's going to go to target, and they're very good coaches, and we'll be very aggressive to try to get him here to help him.
Did it impress you what he did over his tenure at various stops with quarterbacks at different stages of their careers? And also, what do you think about his fiery philosophy? I talked to Chad Pennington the other day. He said, listen, with Adam Gase, you're either all in or you're out, because he wants everybody in that locker room buy in, and if he doesn't get that, he's not going to be a happy camper.
No, and I think that's one of the things you want in a head coach, because in the end, it's you're building that culture, that chemistry. The players kind of they thrive off of that. I know from a work ethic standpoint, he's again, what he is and what he's going to have on our team is going to be exceptional. He's all about toughness. He wants aggressiveness. Those are all key qualities that we want to help build this organization with. But really, when you go down through it, it's like there's a lot of things. And again, observing what he did in Miami with that team down there and some of the things he had, and he had some, like everything, like injury issues and other things he dealt with and made tough decisions. We're very excited about him going forward and having him be here, part of us to work with.
Can you take us through inside the interview room maybe a little bit? Christopher and Adam told us before about some FaceTiming sessions with your quarterback, Sam Darnold.
Yeah, we actually did that with a few of our candidates. I think we felt, a few things. One was, to at least have some degree of interaction with the two to kind of see that and observe that a little bit. But that was not necessarily a defining aspect of how we decided the next head coach. It was a part of it, I thought, a little bit. And quite frankly, Sam, along with all the other players on our team, are very important. But Sam's a very young quarterback. We think very highly of him. We think he has a bright future, and his development will be key to our ability to be successful. So that was a part of the process where we at least had a little interaction with the candidates and Sam.
Well, you're a busy man. We thank you so much for stopping by here, the set at the auditorium inside One Jets Drive, the Atlantic Health Jets Training Center. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Eric, so again, recapping the day, we've heard from Jets CEO Christopher Johnson, GM Mike McCagnon, and Adam Gase will be joining us here momentarily. From your perspective, you were following this. Myself and you, we co-host a radio show here in New York, Inside the Jets, Monday nights during the season. When you started hearing about some of the names out there and you heard Gase, what's the first thing that came to mind?
When I heard Gase's name, I was excited because he's an offensive-minded coach. He's young, and he's a disciplinarian. I thought that there were some times where obviously discipline was an issue with the team last season, and having a coach who's structured, who stands for something, not saying that other coaches don't stand for anything,
sure,
but really doesn't take a lot of slack from the players.
Right.
I think that's important in establishing yourself as a head coach, and that's one of the things I was excited for.
I think you got to look at every situation individually, don't you?
Yeah.
Because Ajayi, I don't want to go player by player, but you can talk about Jay Ajayi. Maybe he wanted to get paid more in Miami. Jarvis Juice Landry, an outstanding talent. Maybe he wanted to get the ball a little bit more. Maybe it was every play and whatever. You don't know what's happened there philosophy-wise. But there are a lot of players and a lot of coaches in the National Football League who we have heard of late, since the hiring was made official on Friday, who've said nothing but great things about Adam Gase.
Yeah, I mean, he's well respected around the league. And one thing that he mentioned in the press conference was success over stats.
Yeah.
Where, I'm not worried about your individual goals. It's all about the team and how do we get wins at the end of the day? How do we move forward? How do we get into the tournament and get hot when we're in there? So I think that, Adam Gase has the right mindset. He has the right frame of mind. He's respected by a lot of coaches around the league. He's obviously been successful against all the teams in the division. I think it's an exciting hire, and the team is going to be in for a treat when they get back.
All right, so put the helmet on, though. Yeah, I mean, right now you got the Saks jacket on, just like myself, our guy Billy Wynn, making sure we look good out here on Jets 360 Live. But, as far as from a player's perspective, what does Adam Gase bring to the table inside the locker room? You just talked about him being a disciplinarian, also being fiery and passionate.
Yeah, I mean, that attitude is something that's infectious. When you go into a locker room and you face your head coach every day in team meetings, what is his attitude? You can't fake that. You can't fake your enthusiasm for the game. And Adam Gase is known for being a fiery player. He's going to have guys excited. I mean, they already have the guy, Jamal Adams. He's excited about the game. Yeah. And I can't help but think that they're going to get passionate players who love the game, who football is important to, and win a lot of games.
Yeah, Adam Gase, of course, started his coaching career under Nick Saban at Michigan State, and he followed him to LSU. We were talking about that this morning. The new Jets head coach actually joins us live right now. What's this day been like for you?
Well, I've been here a couple days. So, I mean, today being the third day, it feels normal. I know we got a lot of, media type things to do, but, I'm glad to get this thing going, and it feels like this is the start of it.
Now, Coach, you talked about your family going through this process. I'm sure it was very stressful. What has your family thought about the New Jersey area coming to New York? How excited are they?
They're very excited. We have a lot of really in-laws that live, whether it be in Jersey, Baltimore, kind of in this area. Mm-hmm. So it's really, it works for us. It works for our family. I know my kids were more wondering, where are we going?
Yeah.
Or what are we doing? And then my son's trying to lobby me to come coach one of his flag football teams, which it doesn't pay well. And so I just wanted to make sure that whatever we did, it was the right thing for us and the right situation for myself. And I felt like this was an unbelievable opportunity.
There are a lot of good coaches out there. You know that. How important is it for you to find the right fit and finish this thing as far as moving forward?
Well, for me, anytime you start bringing a young quarterback and start talking about him, I'm going to get excited because that's rare. You don't get that opportunity most of the time, and to be able to be a part of a situation where it's a second-year guy and he played well last year to where you see those steps where you can say, hey, he can get to this level, and that's what we want to do, and hopefully we get this thing rolling here in April, and we'll just keep building it from there.
What did you see from Sam Darnold as you were preparing to play against him all the way back in week 2 when he became the youngest quarterback in NFL history to pass for 300 yards, but you actually took home the victory out of MetLife Stadium? And then later on in the year, because you didn't see him the second time around when the Jets came in down to South Florida.
I'm going to correct you there. We did see him. We saw him the second time.
That's right. That was right before the injury. That was the four interception.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe this. But the 4 interception, and then he had a strained right foot.
Right.
What did you see?
The first time, I thought it was unbelievable to see him not get affected by. We got up, I think it was 20-0 at halftime. He just kept plugging along. He kept finding completions. He kept moving the ball. I know there was some stress going on our sideline because we were thinking we better hold on to this thing. I think we had a 6-minute drive to finish the game off to where they couldn't get back. We were thinking if he gets the ball back, he's moving it well right now. He's throwing it. He's finding the holes. We got him on a couple oddball coverages where he threw a pick the first game, and then the last one, we changed up a lot of stuff that game. We were coming off a Thursday game where we got drummed pretty good. We made a lot of adjustments. We showed him some coverages that he hadn't seen on tape, so we made that difficult for him. But that's part of that process. That's part of that learning process to where he's seen that now. And the more football he plays, the more he sees. That's just going to memory bank, and his library is just going to get bigger.
I'm so happy you mentioned that Miami game, the 13-6 decision down there, because you saw his feet and his eyes maybe go all over the place. But you said you watched him later in the year, and he was a totally different player. What did you see the differences in him down the stretch? And now, how excited are you to get in the room with this kid who loves ball probably equally as much as you do?
Well, I was able to. My relationship with Josh McCown was helpful in this situation because I called him. I'm like, how was that with you two guys this year? And he obviously loves Sam, and he kept saying he's only going to get better. And he grew when he was hurt and he was out. He took all that in, and he learned from his mistakes, my mistakes, and he was better when he came back. So I was really intrigued to watch those games, and I did. And you could see the confidence was up. The ball was coming out fast. I mean, his accuracy, I didn't realize it going into it, how accurate he was and how he can put the ball where he wants to put it. And, his pocket presence is outstanding. And he feels things, and he's able to move, and he can still complete passes.
And Coach Gase, everyone knows you have experience coaching offense, developing quarterbacks. How does that experience offensively help your defense? Because I'm sure you're prepared for this Jets defense. You have the ins and outs of the defense. How do you see yourself helping out your defensive coordinator?
Well, I always look at it like this. When we're in the spring, when we're in training camp, there is a little bit of us versus them mentality. I know that's defensive guys love hearing it, but I love the competition. Mm-hmm. I love when we're able to really go at it, and there is a little bit of a feel of it's a game day mentality. That's how you get the practice to be fast. That's how you get it to be that competitive to where when you show up on game day, that's not the first time you get that feeling because every day's that feeling. And I've always loved that. I love that when you're talking to the defensive coordinator and the players are looking at you like, what are you doing? But that's what you want. You want those type of competition. You want those guys to really enjoy practice and make it competitive.
And you mentioned down at the press conference talking about finishing, and it's all about preparation, doing it in practice. I'm sure that competition plays into some of those situations at the end of the games.
100%. I mean, it's so vital to having success, especially at the end of the game, because it gets tough in practice. It's tough in training camp. It's tough in OTAs sometimes, especially when you get to I don't care where you are. It's going to be hot everywhere, and you have to push through. And those practices can get long and monotonous, and you have to have that mindset that you're trying to accomplish a goal. You're trying to make sure that you do a great job all the way through practice, and it starts out there.
A final question for the new New York Jets head coach Adam Gase. What does any player have to do to succeed under you? I talked to Chad Pennington about you. He said, listen, under Adam Gase, you're either all in or you're out. You have expectations for those guys.
Yeah, I just look at it as I'm looking for guys that just work hard, show up every day, and you just lay it all on the table. lay it all on the line and just know every time you step on that field, you don't know if that's the last time. Well, I just think all of us have seen guys one play and it's over. And you have to appreciate this game, because if you don't, this game will get you.
Well said. That is it for us from the Atlantic Health Jets Training Center. For Eric Coleman and new Jets head coach Adam Gase, we are signing off.